Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and I'm very excited because today we're going to be going over a leak that supposedly outlines Seasons 2, 3, and 4 of The Division 2, which basically covers the remaining span of Year 2. Now some of you may think, why is that anything to get excited about? Because perhaps, like many, you felt that seasons are a little underwhelming. Well, let me tell you, if these leaks turn out to be true, these coming seasons are going to be awesome. They take some really epic leaps in terms of storytelling within the game, and aim to set up some super cool stuff for the future. And on top of all this leak also points to the possibility of a new game mode coming. That's right, that elusive thing that we've all wanted for this game for so long that the devs still haven't added for God knows why. But as with any leak, before we get into this, it is crucial that you understand that you have to take all the information from this video with a big grain of salt. It could turn out that none of this is true and we get entirely different things for these upcoming seasons. But as with the recent raid leak, which if you didn't hear was basically confirmed to be true since the PTS patch notes name dropped the upcoming raid as Operation Iron Horse, I think this has a pretty good chance of turning out to be true. Let's jump into why. This is your big warning. Spoilers for what could potentially be the rest of Year 2 are to follow. If you don't want to know about some pretty huge storylines and how they play out, then you should probably click off. All set? Alright, let's get into it. So this leak comes to us courtesy of Reddit, where a user data mined within the TU10 PTS and found a plethora of currently unused audio logs that basically guided him throughout the entire storylines of Seasons 2, 3, and 4. And so, he went and detailed a layout for their respective stories, and that's what I'll be going over now. Starting with Season 2, and if this is true, Massive is wasting no time in giving us a big reveal. The prime target is apparently Hornet, who if you're unaware or you've forgotten, was the final boss in the Russian consulate main mission way back in Division 1, where Keener and his first allies first captured Vitaly Chernenko, who we only recently saved from the Black Tusk. The leak claims that despite us actually killing Hornet to the point where his heart stopped, one of the sub-targets named Termite was able to revive him as he was a former combat medic. And so now, Hornet is in DC and has recruited the Outcast to carry on Keener's legacy and mission. According to the leak, the season itself is titled Keener's Legacy, and that's because Keener and Hornet were very close friends and allies. And so now, Hornet's new goal is to enact Keener's dying wishes. He's armed with the same Eclipse technology that Keener was revealed to have in his final mission, which also points to this being true since the new gear set for Season 2 on the PTS is Eclipse Protocol. What's very exciting to me, however, is that the leak claims that the new skill variant we acquire after Hornet's defeat is a repair trap instead of the explosive one that people thought to have been coming instead. Apparently that explosive variant is being saved for Season 3, and perhaps this repair trap could fit with the lore if that's part of what was able to revive Hornet upon his original death. Honestly, I'll take any new healing skill that the devs want to throw our way, and so if this is true, then I'm very excited for that one. So that's Season 2, and the leak claims that the final mission will take place in Tidal Basin and feature some pretty cool mechanics, including us hacking a Warhound to fight by our side. That should be pretty dope. Let's move on to Season 3, and this is where some of those cool storylines and lore stuff I was mentioning come into play. The overall gist is that it's time to track down and eliminate the primary Black Tusk leadership, that being Barden Schaefer. We've heard him countless times in audio logs from missions, cutscenes, collectibles. He's been everywhere since Division 2 launched, so eliminating him would be a pretty big deal. But here's where it gets nuts. Things seem relatively normal until we reach the final mission to take on Schaefer. It's at the Coney Island Amusement Park, and we're going to be fighting the Rikers there. Now, as we progress through the mission, a hunter appears. From that point on, he escapes and continues taunting us as well as going through and murdering some Rikers. For the first time, a hunter will actually have audio, however, according to the leak, it's just in the form of him maniacally laughing over the comms. As of yet, we're unclear of why this hunter is here. That is, until we reach the end of the mission and we see Schaefer and the hunter interacting. Schaefer tells him to quit playing games, and suddenly the hunter turns towards us for a boss battle. What the hell? Does this mean that the hunters actually work for the Black Tusk, or is this one just gone rogue? I don't know, but that sounds pretty insane. The leak goes on to explain that this manhunt mission introduces us to a new character via the audio lines who seems to be in charge of Schaefer, and that's Natalia Sokolov. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's the brand set. She interacts with Schaefer and asks him about the hunter, only for her to find out that we've since killed him. She gets off the comms and we eliminate Schaefer once and for all. Now I must say, including some sort of powerful family into the Division universe like the Sokolov seems insanely cool. It gives off a lot of Game of Thrones vibes, and it's especially cool since we have very little clue as to how far their reach extends. They oversee Schaefer and presumably the Black Tusk as well as this hunter. What else are they capable of? It's important to note that the skill variant for Season 3 looks to be the Shrapnel Trap, which is the new name for the explosive one people were assuming was coming with Season 2. So yeah, Season 3 sets up some pretty insane stuff. If this turns out to be true, I think this could elevate Division season system and just overall hype levels for the game, with them introducing some actually interesting lore. I don't know, we'll have to see. So where can Season 4 go from here? Well, the roller coaster keeps going. The prime target of Season 4 is our old friend Fei Lao, who we discovered had turned rogue at the end of the Warlords of New York campaign. Now, before we get to her involvement, the leak specifically points out that one of these sub-targets is Felix Sokolov, who is the previously mentioned Natalia's younger brother. Their increasing involvement in the story definitely seems cool to me. But back to Faye. The leak jumps straight into her final manhunt mission because this is where things get crazy. It's at Camp White Oak, and we get word about a meeting going down between Faye and the escaped President Ellis. First time we've heard from him in a while. So we get in there and we head towards the meeting. We get explicit instructions from Kelso that we are not authorized to kill the POTUS. Despite him being a traitor, we are still agents of the US government. So we slowly progress towards our goal. That's when, crazy twist, we hear Faye kill the president. Now that might not seem major on its own, but right away she radios all the Black Tusk at White Oak and beyond that Division has killed the president. Yeah, that's a problem. We've now directly violated our country, and given how the Division is already on thin ice for a lot of people, this isn't going to bode well at all. Now the leak says that despite it sounding like we do catch up to Faye, there's no audio line for Isaac telling us that our target is eliminated, whereas there is one for Hornet and Schaefer. Does this mean she lives? Does this mean the devs just haven't added yet? Who knows? They say there's also no apparent skill variant reward here, so I think it's safe to say that Season 4 is still a work in progress. It is like 6 months out, to be fair. Okay, those are the major plotlines for Seasons 2, 3, and 4. Allegedly, at least. Again, I feel that these have a pretty high chance of turning out to be true, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I must say, if this is all legit, I'm 100% on board for this ramp up in storytelling for the Division universe. Division's always had such high potential for awesome narratives and story threads, but rarely acts on them. If this is their new standard, I'm all in. This also sets up some pretty major implications for the future of the franchise as well. What happens now that we've been pinned for killing the president? Are we cast out? Unwillingly flagged rogue by the network? There's some major possibilities there. I might do a separate video discussing this all because there's much more that I'm going to get into now, but it has been discussed basically ever since 2016 and the Division 1 that we should have an option to join the rogues. What if a potential Division 3 sees us playing the unfairly cast out rogue agent? Or maybe there's 2 campaigns and we get to choose between following the story of the DC agents who are now on the run, or the remaining SHD agents tasked with bringing them down. That would be unarguably epic. If they stay on track, the end of Season 4 would put us right around March of 2021. Now obviously March is when they do all their big announcements or releases for the franchise. Is the season's conclusion when they announce Division 3 is in the works to follow this storyline, or maybe a new expansion akin to Warlords? I don't know. I think it's certainly possible and something we can definitely begin to look deeper into. I'm honestly pretty hyped. We do have one more thing to cover from this leak, and that's the uncovering of some audio lines from Kelso that seemingly point to a new game mode coming to the Division 2. Now if you're a veteran to the franchise, you might remember that there was a pretty popular idea on Reddit way back in 2016 about an endless skyscraper mode, basically a horde mode like Resistance but randomized like Underground. You enter the skyscraper on the first floor, and from there on you slowly climb the building through randomized floors, fighting increasingly more difficult enemies the higher up you go. That was the proposed idea from the community back then, and that's pretty much exactly what this leak points to. Kelso has several lines telling us we need to get into the skyscraper and secure it floor by floor. There's apparently save floors every 10 levels, which you can either take a break in the mode or even fast travel out and come back in when you're ready. The ultimate goal is to get to floor 100 or the roof, and after floor 80 there are apparently no checkpoints, so that's where it gets really intense. And I think if this is real, hell yes. We need game modes to keep this game alive in its content lulls, and it sounds like this is a great way to do it. Now there's one thing to note, that there's no real dates on these logs. It's unclear when they were made, added, or if they're even planning on being used. This could very well be something that got cast out onto the cutting room floor, but given the mode's striking similarity to the community idea, I think it's safe to say probably not. I don't see this coming for Season 2 because we'll be getting the raid and TU10, but I certainly think this could come alongside Season 3, maybe with that New York Dark Zone that's been thrown around and teased so much. We'll see. I really hope so. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for the coverage of this leak. Pretty crazy, huh? I honestly did not think I was ever going to get truly excited for this game again, like I would for a Division 1 update, but the promise of rich, continued storytelling and a recommitment to game modes, that might do it. Again, we have to take this with a big grain of salt, but come on, are Division leaks ever wrong? That's going to be all for today guys. If you watched up until now, thank you very much for doing so. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so that you can be updated every time I upload. Head on down to the comments and let me know all of your thoughts on this leak. I'm very excited to see what you guys have to say about it. Until the next one guys, RogueGold out.